as we know, with the flotation. Ryanair back in the dock, a dozen new brochures on the shelves. Travel agents, busy week in the travel industry generally. Eoghan Corry is here.
Yeah, and I've been through Stratton and the Ryder Cup as well. We've the park and ride situation, as we're getting, is pretty grim out there. The entry gate for buses on the northern park and ride is not wide enough, and buses are, they're having, most of them are getting through, but every third or fourth one has to reverse back. So you have this traffic backup coming onto the Leakscliff interchange from it. The south park and ride obviously abandoned this morning. Palmerston House all the parking has been moved out to Punchestown. And in fairness, the people going through it have had a very, very bad time yesterday, but they've behaved themselves really, really well. That people have sat 4 or 5 hours. Park and riot was one of the phrases I heard yesterday. And the other thing that's happening out in the K Club is mud. Already the fairways are breaking up, and you can see the wood chippings being dumped in massive amounts. The tournament hasn't even started yet.
Yeah. And I can't blame the organisers though for the weather, really. I mean, no one knew Gordon was going to hurricane himself across the Atlantic and cause such problems.
No, and if you're to put up a quiz question, which Ryder Cup was disrupted by a hurricane? Was it A, Kia Island, or B, Valderrama? Would Stratton? Would it actually feature? It's a great event. One of the things about the prices, people who go in there are used to sporting events. You will pay more for a franchised drink. You're paying €7-8 for burgers, things like that. It is very expensive, and the queues are very long in the village. Have a look down at the 16th. There's a food booth down there, which doesn't seem to be attracting the same sort of numbers.
No one knows about it. So go down there and get your grub quickly.
That's the one to go to.
All right. The Americans upset a lot of people yesterday, I believe.
Yeah, the reality is they gelled really, really well on Tuesday when they were going around, and they were actually stopping to sign autographs, and people, some of them were spending quite a bit of time with the crowd, upsetting the marshals a wee bit, because the place to get close to these guys on the practice day is between the green and the tee. That's when they're mixing through. And they had gelled very well, but that charade yesterday where they walked down the green and didn't play off the tees really upset, particularly the people who'd assembled in the stand.
Yeah, for golfers, they went and played their second shot rather than a tee shot.
Pitch and putt, as I think Greg described it yesterday. That's what they were doing.
And people booed them even.
Yeah, they were the crowd waiting. They'd assembled, waited for a long time at the tee to watch them tee off, and seen they just walked past them. So, a lot of goodwill lost, and I'm sure they're working hard to get the goodwill back in today.
The Ryder Cup has resulted in the opening of a number of new hotels.
We had a new hotel opening nearly every day last week. Now, obviously, some of them have had quiet openings. Carton House has been running for 5 weeks, and they had a big launch on Tuesday, which I think you covered. And there was a launch every day. What is interesting is that the hotel rates didn't climb as spectacularly as people were predicting. We've had 4,000 new hotel beds put on the market this year. This is really good news for the Irish punter, because these hotel beds have to be filled the rest of the year as well. The way they're going to be filled, and even some of the very high-end 5-star plush spa stuff that is being launched, you can get very, very good deals midweek, 2 3-night deals with 3 nights 2 dinner deals, and that applies right across the board. What's happening in Irish hotels is quite spectacular. What's happening flying out of the country is also very interesting. That the winter sun, I don't think I've seen a start to a winter sun season where the prices have been as low. Budget, so it isn't available anymore, but budget sold to Egypt for €200. That's your flight and your accommodation out there for 7 days, and you can still get it really, really cheap, and that's impacting North Africa. Very good prices. And the big news this morning is Ryanair have decided to raid, which is our juiciest winter sun location, which is the Canary Islands. They're going into Tenerife North. It's always been used for internal flights. They're the first to bring international visitors in there, and they're going into Fuerteventura as well. This could change the entire dynamic of the Canaries. 70% of the Irish winter sun market goes to the Canaries. It's almost all charter. And the most popular is Lanzarote, followed by Gran Canaria, followed by Tenerife, followed by Fuerteventura. I think we'll see Tenerife and Fuerteventura jumping up the scales a little bit as a result of this new Ryanair.
And how often will the service be?
The new Dublin routes, Tenerife and to Fuerteventura,
No frequency yet.
No frequency on them. They also have 2 new routes to Alghero in Sardinia and Trapani in Sicily. And Ryanair have been watching the growth of the Italian market. Italy actually was right in at the start of the package business in Ireland, because most of our first package visitors were pilgrims to Rome, who were then brought on to Rimini or somewhere like that. But Italy is going. It's the fast. In the last 2 years, the tour operators who are doing Italy have seen growth of 1/3, 30% plus of Irish people heading out there.
All right. Thailand and Hungary, 2 of the spots in the world which are a little bit troubled. Would you continue to plan your holiday in those
places? Absolutely, and the Department of Foreign Affairs advice, which they've been slow enough updating that dfa.ie website, I noticed, but their department advice is continue to travel. The flights are running normal, and be careful. Don't go hang around government buildings. What I think has changed most, like Thailand are very good at coups. They've had something like 22 of them, and it was a big tourist destination out of Ireland when the last one went through 15 years ago. In the era of 24-hour news coverage, we're a bit more aware of it, with breaking news, flashing across our screen. The Thai tourist people are saying business as normal. Most of the Irish in post-tsunami tourists, Thailand, go down to Pattaya rather than over to the west coast or to Bangkok. But we all transit through Bangkok. The markets are operating normally, apparently, and the flights, which most of us go through Heathrow, but there are gateways to Paris and Frankfurt and other places as well. They're operating as normal. The Hungarian Tourist Board are very, very firm. You continue to travel, and they say there have been no cancellations, no hotel cancellations, or nobody travelling out from Ireland. Budapest used to be a fairly infrequent visit. It's now our 2nd most popular after Prague.
Finally, Ryanair allow you to check in online, but there is a little catch.
Yeah, there's a problem with the baggage. We've 2 running problems with Ryanair's baggage policy at the moment. The published size of your handbag is perfect when you're flying out of Dublin, but if you're coming back from Stansted and you turn up with a bag which is within Ryanair's stipulations, it actually could be outside the European, the UK security stipulations, which are still there and are no sign of them being changed. So it really, really worth putting your head around this before you do that day trip to London. You might get in one direction and run into trouble at the other. Where it really runs you in, if you check in online and you have a bag to check in, you run into serious extra charges. You run into because they charge for putting bags in the hold since last March, and some of those prices are going up again on October the 1st.
All right. So the business is, you have this hand luggage which you bought specifically to fit Ryanair's requirements, and then maybe it'll have to go into the hold. And in Ryanair's case, if you put something into the hold when you've checked in online to say I have no baggage going into the hold,
it costs you twice as much.
It costs you more.
Yeah, and there are extra charges then to be issued with a boarding pass. If you've arrived with your boarding pass that you've printed yourself, you now check in something. You now have to go and change the conditions of that. There is a charge for the reissue of the boarding pass. Ryanair are going very cross about this. It's the difference between a large briefcase and a small wheelie, Pat. That's the easiest way to describe it. They are very happy to continue with their handbag sticker.
By the way,
UK security.
A postscript to Declan Collier's interview, where he said it only takes him 5 minutes to walk from check-in through to the prefabs. One of my correspondents said that the wheels on his wheelie actually seized up with the heat from pulling it so far at the speed that he needed to go. It is a long way.
It is a long way, and it's a rough floor. I mean, it's a temporary floor, and I think that's one of the reasons they can't run the golf buggy type carriers that you get in English airports, is that the floor won't take it.
All right, Eoghan, Corry, thank you very much for joining us. We'll take a break.